My name is Douglas Reyes, and just saying it out loud feels like a weight I never allowed to reach me while I was alive. For years, I hid who I really was behind a hardened posture, an empty gaze, and choices that destroyed lives without a second thought. I believed that carrying this coldness made me invincible, that it distanced me from fear and brought me closer to power. In truth, it was precisely this mask that was killing me inside. I grew up hearing that the world didn't offer second chances and that only those willing to step down first survived. That's how I embraced crime as if it were the only possible path. I sold what destroyed entire families, and I still had the nerve to look at myself in the mirror and say it wasn't my fault. I repeated that each person chose their vice, that each one was responsible for their own destiny, and that lie I repeated to avoid going insane, became my refuge. And the worst part is that I believed her. I lived as if death were just a distant rumor, something that always happened to others. I walked the streets certain that nothing could reach me, as if some invisible force protected me from the consequences of my own choices. Until the day came, a day that began like any other, but ended up tearing away everything I believed I controlled. Because on that day I died. And in dying, I discovered that the truth I had avoided my whole life had finally found me, and it showed no mercy. And that revelation was only the beginning. I know these words have already stirred something within you. Stay with me here. Subscribe and leave a like before we continue, because what comes next needs to be heard with an open heart. Let's go together. When I got into drug trafficking, it wasn't all at once. It was like dipping my toe in the water without realizing that, little by little, my whole body was submerged. At first, I just carried packages to earn some quick money, without thinking about what it really meant. Then, I started negotiating, meeting people who lived for evil, and who treated me like someone important. That unhealthy recognition fueled something inside me that I couldn't name, but that made me feel powerful. For the first time, I felt that I had value, even if it was a value built on ruins. The money came quickly, and with it came long nights, fast cars, expensive clothes, and that feeling that I had finally achieved what life had always denied me. I confused adrenaline with purpose, violence with identity, and fear with respect. And the higher I climbed in the criminal hierarchy, the more I believed that this was my place in the world, that destiny had molded me for this. Over time, I learned to control territories, manipulate people, intimidate clients, and silence any trace of conscience that tried to speak to me. Every forced smile I received, every frightened look that crossed my path, every trembling hand as they handed me money, all of that became fuel to keep alive the lie that I was in control. But the truth is, I never was. I was just another cog in a system that feeds on the destruction of others, and even so, I felt great. I felt untouchable. I felt like somebody. Then signs began to appear, small, silent, almost imperceptible, that something inside me was being drained, as if my soul was disappearing little by little while my body continued to exist. And ignoring those signs, that was the mistake that opened the door to what would come later. Because the first darkness always arrives quietly, and when you realize it, it has already taken everything. The first time I realized something had truly broken inside me was on an ordinary day, one of those days you think will end like all the others. I was leaning against a doorway in an alley, waiting for a client who always showed up at the same time. When she arrived, I realized it wasn't who I expected. It was a girl, very young, younger than anyone I had ever served. She held the money in both hands, as if that small amount was all she had. Her eyes trembled, and there was something in them that I couldn't interpret. Perhaps fear, despair, hunger, abandonment. She said nothing. She just extended her hand. I didn't say anything either. I just handed her what she wanted. It was quick, cold, automatic like all the other times. But when she walked away, something inside me stirred. It wasn't guilt. It was worse. It was the feeling that I had crossed an invisible line that existed only within my soul. It was as if I had torn down the last barrier that still separated me from absolute emptiness. That night I couldn't sleep, Not because I was sorry, but because I felt something had entered my spirit. It was a silent darkness, a presence that didn't speak, didn't shout, didn't accuse. It only observed. The weight of this presence was so real that it seemed to sit beside me, darkening the room, compressing the air, extinguishing any trace of humanity that still tried to survive within me. I tried to ignore it. I tried to tell myself it was just another sale, just another life lost among so many others. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. That girl didn't just take the drugs. She took the last light that still existed inside me. And when the light goes out, the true darkness begins to reveal itself. And I still had no idea what I was about to face. After that day, something inside me began to change, but not in the way many would imagine. I didn't become a better person, nor did I feel remorse as I should have. In fact, the opposite happened. The darkness that had entered my heart found space, and each wrong decision I made seemed to amplify the feeling of emptiness even more. The more pain I inflicted on people, the more I got used to seeing them broken, desperate, suffocated by choices that deep down were directly linked to my own actions. I began walking the streets as if I were above all human suffering. I saw mothers pleading for their children, fathers collapsed. In the gutter, young people languishing in alleys that were once vibrant. And yet I passed by all of this with the coldness of someone watching the rain through a window, distant, unreachable, indifferent. The pain of others became part of the landscape, a constant backdrop that no longer affected me. I thought that was strength, that this extreme detachment made me unshakable. I didn't realize that, in fact, it was the clearest symptom that my soul was slowly dying. With each new sale, each new face destroyed, each story I helped bury, a part of me silently crumbled, and I moved on as if nothing was happening, as if the world were just a dark stage on which I played a role I couldn't abandon. But the truth is that there is an invisible limit to everything, even for those who have learned not to feel. And when that limit is broken, something inevitable happens, something that no man, prepared or unprepared, can avoid. And it was precisely at that point that my life, or what remained of it, began to tilt toward the abyss I myself had dug, and the fall was about to happen. That day began like any other, but there was a strange silence in the air, a kind of premonition that seemed to push my chest down, as if something invisible was trying to warn me. Even so, I ignored it. Crime makes us experts at ignoring signs. I left home with the same posture as always, convinced that nothing could touch me, and walked through the streets as if believing that all roads belonged to my authority. I didn't know it, but I was living my last minutes on Earth. Everything happened too fast. I was negotiating in one of the alleys I frequented most when I heard hurried footsteps and voices mixed with a sound I knew all too well, the urgency of the police. In seconds, the alley transformed into a labyrinth of screams, running, and bullets ricocheting off the narrow walls. My heart was pounding in a way I couldn't control, and for the first time in a long time, I felt fear, real, deep, paralyzing fear. I ran without thinking, simply reacting to the chaos. The adrenaline made my muscles move faster than my thoughts, and the street ahead seemed endless. I heard a louder shot than the others, a dry, final sound that pierced the air before I had any chance to understand what was about to happen. An instant later, I felt a violent impact on my chest, as if someone had placed an enormous weight on me all at once. The world slowed down. My body lost strength. My legs trembled. I remember looking down and seeing my hands trying to grasp the air, as if some gesture could stop the fall. But it couldn't. I fell. I fell like someone who finally discovered that they weren't invincible, that they weren't immortal, that they didn't own anything. The pain was sharp, but at the same time distant, as if it no longer belonged to my body. My vision darkened at the edges, and the only thing I could feel was the awareness that everything had come to an end. Or at least, that's what I thought, because the real downfall was yet to begin. When my eyes finally closed, I thought it was all over. But death didn't come as a complete blackout. It came as a detachment, a separation so subtle that for a moment I thought I was just fainting. I felt my body becoming heavy, still distant, while something inside me seemed to grow towards the void. Then, without any warning, everything changed. Suddenly, the weight vanished. I opened my eyes, or at least that's how it felt, and found myself standing in the same alley where I had fallen. The confusion was immediate. The ground was there, the walls were there, the sirens still echoed in the distance, but my body wouldn't respond. I tried to put my hand to my chest to feel the wound, but my hand pierced my own chest as if I were made of wind. A profound panic gripped me, a terror that didn't stem from the gunshot, but from the realization that I was alive, outside of myself. I looked down and saw my body lying on the ground, motionless, bleeding, surrounded by figures moving too fast for me to understand. It was too strange to see my own mouth slightly open, my eyes lifeless, my skin losing color. Reality seemed distorted, as if the air were thicker, and each sound arrived like a distant echo mixed with something that didn't belong to that world. I tried to scream, but no words came out. I tried to call someone, touch someone, anything to prove that I still existed, but all I could feel was absolute isolation, a sensation that the material world had ceased to recognize my presence. And while I tried to understand what was happening, a soft darkness began to form behind me, as if a shadow were approaching with silent steps. The feeling wasn't one of threat, but of something bigger than me, something that surpassed any human fear. My spirit, even confused, knew that this presence wasn't of this world. I no longer had control. There was no escape. I had no choice. And it was then, in the center of that void between life and death, that I realized I was not alone, and what was coming toward me carried an authority I had never encountered before. The approaching presence did not advance hastily, nor did it make any noise that my senses could identify. Even so, its impact was so immense that it seemed to displace the air around me. The darkness that had previously appeared behind me began to dissipate slowly, as if giving way to something infinitely greater. I felt my spirit tremble, not from physical fear, but from a profound awareness that I was before an authority from whom nothing within me could be hidden. When I finally turned around, I didn't find a shadow, nor an overwhelming glare, but a figure carrying a light impossible to define. He didn't need to introduce himself. My spirit recognized him even before my thoughts could formulate any questions. It was Jesus, and his mere presence seemed to reveal every part of me that I had spent years trying to bury. His gaze wasn't one of anger, but neither was it condescending. It was a gaze that pierced through everything I was, as if he could touch the very essence of my choices. In an instant, all the arrogance I had carried throughout my life crumbled. Before him, I was not a drug dealer, not a leader, not feared. I was simply a soul, naked, exposed, incapable of justifying any sin I had committed. Jesus didn't utter a single accusation. He didn't need to. When I met him, it was as if all my actions flashed before me with a clarity I had never experienced. I saw faces I had destroyed, homes I had ruined, lives I had pushed into darkness. Every muffled cry, every silent tear, every night, someone lost a piece of themselves because of my choices. It all became palpable, almost physical, as if their pain touched my soul directly. The weight of that revelation brought me to my knees. I tried to speak, but no sound came out. His presence showed not only what I had done, but who I had become, because of my own decisions. And the more I faced that truth, the more I realized the chasm that existed between him and the man I had become. There was no excuse. There was no escape. There was no negotiation. His holiness revealed that I myself had written my sentence long before I died, and yet there was something in his presence that was not merely justice, it was revelation. A revelation of what was yet to come, and of a destiny I never imagined I would have to face. When Jesus looked up, something in the atmosphere changed so profoundly that even what I called darkness seemed to recede. It was as if an invisible frontier was being opened, and I, even without fully understanding, knew that he was about to show me what my spirit would never have the courage to face on its own. There was no sudden movement, no dramatic gesture, just a silent change that made everything around lose color, depth, and meaning, as if the spiritual world were revealing a layer that had always existed, but that I had never perceived. In a single instant, her presence transported me to a place where the air felt heavy, dense, permeated with a suffering that couldn't be described with any human word. It wasn't a fire burning skin, but a pain that seemed to burn consciousness. The first thing I heard wasn't a scream, but thousands of voices mingled together, like an echo of broken lives begging for relief that would never come. Each sound struck me with the force of everything I had once caused. Before me I saw people I recognized, people I had seen consumed by the drugs I myself sold. Their faces were marked not by fire, but by the truth that their stories had been interrupted by the path I offered. It was as if their pain were alive, circulating in the air, touching my soul with an unavoidable clarity. I tried to look away, but I realized I couldn't. That place allowed no escape, no explanations, no lies. Each soul seemed burdened by an endless weight, as if they were trapped by decisions that had become eternal chains. And while Jesus remained by my side, without raising his voice, he explained with absolute authority what I had spent my entire life ignoring. He didn't point fingers. He didn't make accusations. He simply let the truth speak for itself, and the truth was brutal. Every face I had forgotten resurfaced there, not as a memory, but as a testimony. I saw families destroyed by their children's addiction. I saw mothers begging for sons who would never return, and I saw young people who walked towards death after experiencing something I had placed in their hands. Their despair had form, had sound, had weight, and it all fell upon me like a mirror that finally revealed who I had always been. Then Jesus spoke, not with anger, but with a firmness that made every part of my being tremble. "Douglas, you didn't just destroy lives. You destroyed destinies." Those words pierced my soul with the precision of a sword. It was impossible to breathe, impossible to deny, impossible to resist. I wanted to beg for forgiveness, to scream, to disappear, anything to erase that vision. But before I could react, something even deeper began to reveal itself, something I never imagined existed, and that would change everything forever. As soon as those last words of Jesus penetrated my soul, everything around me began to unravel in a way I cannot fully describe, because it wasn't simply a change of scenery, but the feeling that reality itself was reorganizing itself around me. The torment that had previously surrounded me, the distant cries that echoed like endless laments, the images of the people I had destroyed that returned before me like an unsettling mirror, everything began to lose its sharpness, as if consumed by a light that not only illuminated but also dissolved every fragment of that dark place. I felt my spirit being pulled back, not violently, but with a firm and undeniable urgency, as if an invisible hand were tearing me. From the abyss I had dug myself throughout my life, removing me from that destiny that already seemed sealed. The light intensified until it was no longer possible to distinguish any shape or color, and for a moment I thought time itself had ceased to exist. Then, even before I regained my sight, the sound returned. I heard the heart monitor beeping rapidly, voices calling my name with words that still sounded distant, and I felt a deep chill run through my body, as if I had been abruptly thrown back into flesh that no longer seemed familiar. I opened my eyes abruptly, struggling to understand how that fragile, aching body could be the same one I had left behind. The pain in my chest hit me in waves. The air rushed in, tearing at my lungs, and in that instant I understood that, against all human logic, I was alive again. However, the return did not bring immediate relief. The first feeling that overwhelmed me was a shame so overwhelming that it seemed larger than the space around me. It was the shame of someone who finally sees their own reflection, without the masks, without the pride, and without the defenses they had maintained for years. I cried in a way I didn't remember being capable of, as if each tear removed a little of the hardness I had built myself to survive in the world I had chosen. The rigidity that I believed to be strength shattered completely, exposing something I didn't want to see, the moral emptiness that had dominated me for so long. In the following days, as I tried to understand what had happened inside and outside of me, I realized that my spirit wasn't seeking logical explanations, but pleading for transformation. Every time I closed my eyes, some memory of what I saw on the other side returned, not as torture but as direction. The weight of that experience accompanied me with every breath, reminding me that the life that had been given back to me could not be wasted repeating the same mistakes. I spent entire nights staring at the hospital ceiling, feeling my soul restless, gripped by an unwavering certainty that ignoring that call would be the same as voluntarily walking back to the place from which I was rescued. When I was finally able to get up, I decided to seek God with the sincerity of someone who had already seen what lies beyond the ultimate limit of human existence. I didn't look for easy answers, nor did I try to negotiate with him. I simply surrendered, because for the first time I understood that surrender was not defeat, but a return to what I should have been from the beginning. I also sought out the people I had hurt, not with the intention of justifying anything, because there was no possible justification, but to ask for forgiveness, even knowing that many doors would not be opened and that some wounds would never close. This was one of the most painful processes I faced, but it was also the first real step in rebuilding something within me that no longer existed. I knew I could never undo the past, no matter how much regret I carried, but I also understood that if I was breathing again, it wasn't by chance. The life returned to me didn't come as a light gift, but as a responsibility. From that moment on, I realized that everything I had lived, everything I had seen, and everything I had felt carried a mission I could no longer ignore. To warn those who still have time, to awaken those who haven't yet realized the abyss they are building, and to remind them that behind every choice lies an eternity waiting to be revealed. When I finally grasped the magnitude of what had happened to me, I realized that a truth had been imprinted within me so deeply that no future doubt could erase it. The awareness that I hadn't returned because I deserved it, nor because I had done something good, nor because I was somehow prepared to receive mercy, fell upon me like an impossible weight to ignore. I didn't return because I was given a second chance. I returned because God decided that my experience needed to serve as a warning to someone still walking in the same dark direction I had chosen for so many years. And this realization, however painful, brought an understanding that completely changed my way of seeing life and eternity. For a long time, I lived believing that my actions wouldn't leave deep scars. I convinced myself that destroying families, fueling addictions, manipulating young people, and contributing to the suffering of others wouldn't bring me any reward. I thought that because I didn't see the final impact of my choices, I was immune to their consequences. However, when I left my body and was confronted with spiritual truth, I discovered that nothing I had done had dissipated. Every act, every word, every omission, and every intention was engraved in a place where no disguise is possible. And all these marks, which seemed invisible while I walked on earth, became glaring evidence when I stood before God. The sight of my choices returning to me was devastating. I saw faces I preferred to ignore, heard voices I silenced, and felt the weight of entire lives destroyed by decisions I treated as trivial. None of this appeared as a vengeful accusation. On the contrary, it emerged as the revelation of a truth that had always existed, but that I refused to see. Allowing this truth to pierce through me hurts more than any physical experience I have ever lived through, because it exposes not only what I did, but also what I became while repeating each mistake. It was then that I understood that no one goes through life without being held accountable for what they build in the invisible realm. Evil doesn't disappear just because we pretend not to see it. Conscience doesn't remain silent forever, even when we try to stifle it with arrogance, vices, or justifications. Sooner or later, the path we choose becomes a road we must travel back, and along it, we find everything we have sown. Eternity doesn't correct narratives, it only reveals what was already being written in silence. Therefore, today I speak with the sincerity of someone who has seen eternity up close and returned bearing marks that can never be forgotten. If you are still breathing, it means there is time to change. Don't wait until the last moment to reconsider your choices. Don't wait to lose what you love to wake up. Don't wait for God to confront you in the same way He confronted me, because the impact of this revelation is so profound that no human being emerges from it without scars. Perhaps you're listening to this story and thinking you're still in control. Perhaps you're telling yourself you have mastery over your own steps and can calculate risks. But the real danger isn't what's happening around you. It's what's happening inside you as you become accustomed to the darkness. The most terrifying transformation isn't visible. It happens in the heart when you stop caring. And when the heart hardens, that which destroys ceases to seem like destruction. That's exactly where I lost myself. If you feel you've been ignoring your own conscience, if you realize you're walking down paths where the light no longer shines as brightly as before, if you recognize that there's something inside you trying to warn you, but that you insist on silencing, then listen seriously to what I'm saying. This isn't just a video, it's not just a story, and it's not entertainment. This is a call for you to turn back before the path reveals where it was really leading you. Eternity waits for no one. It does not bow to excuses, does not shy away from arguments, and is not moved by hastily constructed explanations. What it reveals is the truth, and the truth, when it finally appears, leaves no room for hiding. If this message touched your soul even subtly, take it seriously. Don't ignore the restlessness that arises within you. Don't treat this feeling as something fleeting. It may be exactly the sign God is sending before it's too late. Choose life. Choose truth. Choose God before darkness makes that choice for you. And if you want to keep hearing messages that awaken, confront, and transform, subscribe to the channel now. I need to keep talking, and you need to keep listening. This could save your life or your eternity.